Hello, Mr. Strope. Okay. I can't explain why, but you have to believe me when I say that I'm not taking this class lightly, and yes, I did not do the questions at the right time. I messed up. Things right now are really complicated, but I can't stress enough how much this class is important to me. So for each question, I'm going to make a video. Hopefully that'll make up for it being late because I didn't get to participate in the discussion. And once you've already had the discussion, then it ends up just being a matter of reading everyone else's post, and I don't like that, especially with this issue. One, I wanted to be an anthropologist. I tried to major in anthropology. Um, then I was seriously considering majoring in um, evolution, evolutionary biology. I don't think I have the intelligence for that. Right now, my course is game design, but only so I can bring back the edutainment um, industry, which is, educational video games. I think I could do amazing things with that. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm getting off topic. Alright, this is the first question. How did you put it? Define anthropology and list the four main fields. Okay. Um, Anthropology is basically the study of people. I know that's oversimplified, but the fields are so diverse that you're going to have to use a sort of methodological reductionism. Um, Scientific reductionism in principle is kind of risky, but all science needs a methodological reductionism. So, anthropology is the study of people and what makes them what they are, how they act, why they act. That's the most important thing, why they act the way they do, not just on a psychological level. What is it that we all share, and what is it that's unique? Anthropology makes an attempt to answer those questions. Of course, you need psychology and all those other fields, but anthropology is the most basic way of looking at those things, the most inclusive of all the different aspects of what it means to be human, is in the field of anthropology. Um, the first one would be my favorite, and I think it's the most important. And I think we can put value judgments on which field is more important. I'm going to go with what's more fundamental, and it's the physical anthropology, because all things stem from that, in my opinion. Um, but I'm a selfish gene advocate and an extended phenotype advocate, so maybe I'm just seeing with rose-colored glasses or whatever it's called. But basically, physical anthropology is a study of the effects of diversity that our genes give us. That is to say, to study the genes themselves is a study of biological evolution, but the effects and how that affects our species, how we interact with each other, that would be physical anthropology. What is, causing the tree, if you will, to branch in the first place? What is causing that tree? Um, Second is the actual first field I tried to major in, archaeology. I tried to major in this because I found that as I got older, my interest was less and less in dinosaurs. A kid, everyone's interested in dinosaurs, right? I wanted to be a paleontologist. Then I found that I was leaning more towards animals, the ones here now, than archaeology. Because I was more and more interested in people. People fascinated me. I can't remember what scientist said this. I want to say Richard P. Feynman, but it wasn't. He said, humans are unique in that instead of being a figure in the landscape, we are the shape of the landscape. I'm sorry. I go off on tangents. But I might edit that out. I might not. Archaeology is basically the footwork to looking at old um, civilizations, studying people that are no longer here. That is the past. It's a forensic science. Um, it's studying, it's actually doing the footwork and digging up the civilizations. It's unwrapping the package, if you will, that opens the door to our understanding of where we came from at the human level once we're past the ape level. Archaeology is what we need to find out about how humans lived in the past. Without those, all we have is written records, and they weren't too into writing things down. Another thing to mention is this is where carbon dating would be used in archaeology. Creationist rears its ugly head and is like, carbon dating dates fossils. No, carbon dating is not used on fossils. Fossils, by definition, have no carbon. That's what it means to fossilize. Your minerals get replaced with other minerals that last longer. The mineral, there's no bone there. There's no carbon, or there shouldn't be. Trace bits of. Again, I digress. Linguistics. It's funny because if you take a genetic tree and a linguistic tree, they're almost identical in how they branch off. They branch off, sometimes come back together. If they come back together in the very beginning of the branch, you get what I'm saying? Like when a language branches off, sometimes they can come together, but once it diverges too far, then hybridization is simply not possible. The language becomes too distinct from its base language. For instance, Spanish, Mexican Spanish, or Puerto Rican Spanish. I'm half Puerto Rican. At this point, could probably still be integrated back into Spain Spanish, but it most certainly could not go back to Latin. It's just too far removed. Linguistics is basically it can tell us a lot about a society. If you know what people communicated to each other, then you know how they communicated. That is, you can understand what ideas they were trying to express. The last field is cultural studies. Now, this is interesting because I'm in the Sam Harris school of thought. That when we look at other cultures, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't say what it was. Cultural studies is basically the studies about how other cultures look at the world, their traditions, their religions, their rituals. You can study a culture for your whole life but never be a part of that culture because you weren't raised in that culture. You are an outsider. The exception is inclusive cultures like America, which is a melting pot. But you can only be a foreign American. You get what I'm saying? You'll never be a Southern American. Well, no, Southern. Yeah, you'll never be a Southern American. You didn't come from there. You'll never be a Mexican American unless you're Mexican. You basically, it's a cultural studies anthropologist's dream would be to absorb the memories of a person who died who grew up in one of these cultures, to actually be able to be in these cultures. You get what I'm saying? It's basically trying to get into the mind of other groups of people to understand how they looked at the world beyond simple language. Though language and linguistics and cultural studies are like this. Actually, all four of these fields are like this, but you get what I'm saying. Also the histories of these people, which blends with archaeology. You also need to know certain things. For instance, here's a good example. our soldiers went to, I can't remember exactly where it was, but it was one of the Asian countries. It could have been Vietnam, it could have been Korea. Um, the actual country in question is not important for this particular analogy. No, not analogy. This actually happened. Well, basically, um, that culture stands really close. That's what they. It's rude to not stand close to someone because it shows them you're listening. Like they get really close. You know how little children, when they run up to each other, they'll get really close. They have no sense of personal space, and they don't feel like their space is being intruded on. Well, this culture was kind of like that. They would get real close, as if you're gonna whisper something. And our soldiers felt uncomfortable, so they would take a step back. Well, immediately that altered the mood of the encounter because they see that as rude. If you're taking a step back, it's like, I'm trying to talk to you. It's as if you were having a conversation with someone and they just walk away. It's like, what the hell? you know? But they didn't understand that to us, what they were doing is rude. You don't walk up to someone's face and like, hey, how are you doing? Are you doing okay? Like, to us, that's incredibly rude because we value personal space. Um, the American culture is, the Western idea is, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. In the East, it's the nail that sticks out gets hammered down. Basically, work together, and everything will be fine for everyone. As opposed to stand out and take chances, or you'll never get anywhere. Both are true. I think we can reach a happy middle ground with cultural studies. Okay, that's all for this first question.